Hey everybody, it's Kyle once again, back with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. This is episode 113. We are back from vacation. We had a great time up in New Hampshire. I highly recommend it if you ever have the chance to go. Beautiful state, a lot of mountains. I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. But we had a great time up there. But we're back at it today. So my brain is nice and rested, so hopefully I can drop some good information on you today. What I'm going to talk about right now is different benefits of intermittent fasting. Mainly, I have 8 of them written down. There will probably be more. Some of them will tie together. But these are going to be the top things that come to mind of why I think this is so important. Before I get to that, we got to do our mindset piece. So, with your mindset, with anybody's mindset, something I always go through myself. It's very natural to have thoughts of the negative and what if everything goes wrong. You got to flip that on its head. What if everything goes right? What if you hit a grand slam and everything goes perfect with this thing that you're thinking is going to crash and burn? And believe me, I got to go through reframing constantly, especially with the new gym opening. It's easy to get caught up in that there's a lot of things dependent upon the success of the business now. It's different than when it was just me. So you can either say, what if everything goes wrong? Or you can say, what if everything goes right? Reframing, as I always talk about, is the most powerful skill you can develop. All right, so let's get to the fasting. 8 benefits of intermittent fasting. I first came to intermittent fasting in 2014 when I was getting ready for 2 bodybuilding shows. That's the last time I competed. And the truth is, I was just looking for ways to further reduce the stubborn body fat. Now, for a man, your stubborn body fat typically is going to be your lower abdomen, your love handles, and sometimes your glutes. For women, it's typically thighs and glutes. There's a different type of fat cell receptor in stubborn areas of fat on the body. It's because of that different type of receptor, that blood flow is very poor to those areas. So part of fat loss is mobilization and transportation. So if you cannot mobilize, you cannot transport the fat out to use it. Very important to know. And one of the ways I came across back in 2014 to reduce stubborn areas of body fat, I was already doing diet, all types of supplements, legal and illegal. I'm candid with that stuff. But the body is the body. It's very hard to push it outside its limit. So one of the ways was fasting. Fasting will increase blood flow to stubborn areas of body fat. And then as I began to fast and get ready for the contest, I started to notice some other things. And I was like, man, I'm really excited about this. This is not a diet. This is something I can do forever. So then over the next couple of years, I started to examine all the health benefits and all of the side effects that were coming from intermittent fasting. The first benefit I'd like to talk about is the brain. When we fast, cortisol can rise in the morning. Okay, cortisol is an alertness hormone, along with adrenaline, noradrenaline, or however you want to say epinephrine, norepinephrine. It's going to make you more alert. When people wake up, the body is not designed to eat right away. If you do, you're going to drive up insulin, cortisol comes back down, something known as the fishing effect. But if insulin goes up, and there's a flip between, and there's an inverse relationship between insulin and cortisol. So if insulin is high, cortisol is typically going to be low. That's why when people eat breakfast, what's up, Andrew? When people eat breakfast, they typically get hungry or cloudy-brained or energy crash shortly thereafter. We have to let cortisol do its thing. So the brain, it greatly benefits from intermittent fasting. Second thing, these two things kind of go together, but digestion and gut health. So stress depletes hydrochloric acid in our stomachs. Almost everybody's deficient in hydrochloric acid. Poliquin used to have us do these this test with hydrochloric acid, and everybody would come back deficient. And you'll notice one of the effects of having poor hydrochloric acid or low hydrochloric acid levels is bloating after you eat. Just different. You're not regular going to the bathroom. And by the way, for a man, and it's a little different for a woman, obviously, but two things you have to look at to make sure your health is on point. Are you defecating? Are you crapping properly and with ease? And can you get an erection? So if those two things aren't on point, something's wrong with your health. But let's keep talking about the fasting. So fasting, your gut needs a break. You can't just pound it constantly with food. Stress reduces hydrochloric acid in the stomach and causes inflammation in the stomach, in the GI tract. Well, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the stomach. You have to give it a break. You don't need to eat more often. You need to eat it less often. The sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight part of our nervous system, is overly active in most people. So it's not necessarily what you eat, it's who you are when you eat it. Are you in a relaxed state? So intermittent fasting plays nicely into being able to eat in a relaxed state. If you're only eating twice a day, it's not that hard typically to eat in a relaxed state, especially if one of those is dinner and your day is pretty much over. So gut health, I've noticed a huge difference. I was able to get off hydrochloric acid when I came off, or when I was intermittent fasting. And again, mind you, I've been doing it more than 4 years now. With very, very, very few breaks. Maybe when I go on vacation, I might have some cereal in the morning. But even on those days, I don't feel better than when I fast. Energy levels. This ties into the brain function. Your energy is going to be more even-keeled. You're not going to crash. If insulin is like a roller coaster, you're going to have energy that's all over the place. Insulin, to a large degree, is one of the main hormones that we can control because a lot of it's dictated by what we eat. So we want to be nice and even-keeled, steady energy. Energy should rise in the morning, and then as cortisol begins to drop later in the day, it should begin coming down. That's our signal to start getting ready for bed. We don't want to have the zigzag thing. I've noticed that, and research supports this, that intermittent fasting is good at maintaining blood glucose, insulin, keeping you straight with your energy levels. So this is part experience, part research, not just my opinion. Fat loss, that was the reason I started intermittent fasting, as I talked about in the beginning. Intermittent fasting goes to work on the hormonal system. So most people don't realize when they diet that they're trying to affect one part of dieting or fat loss, weight loss, which is deprivation or deficit. But what you're really doing is you're affecting the biochemical, hormonal environment of the body. And that's what it comes down to. That's what we're really trying to affect when we're trying to affect how we feel and how the body changes and reacts and responds to different things. Fasting goes to work on that. The longer cortisol can rise, the more natural growth hormone, which is 8 to 9 times more powerful than synthetic growth hormone that you would use as a drug. And growth hormone is profoundly efficient at helping us use fat, immobilize fat, transport fat, all that good stuff. Intermittent fasting is a principle. It's not a diet. It should take the anxiety away right off the bat when you start it. What do you mean I don't have to diet anymore? Most people, when they hear the word diet, their cortisol goes up, they start stressing. The brain will not form a habit around anything that it finds undesirable, that it doesn't find pleasure in. This is all about habit formation. That's why diets don't work. You can't form a habit around them. You can form a habit around principles. Intermittent fasting has made my life much easier. So, but it's one of the main principles that I believe we should follow with eating, and it's something you can do forever. The longer you do it, the more benefits you're going to notice. Now, it doesn't mean you can eat like a hog, but it does give you more freedom within your intake. Meaning, if you're only eating twice a day, I'm the guy that loves to eat. If I eat twice a day, those meals can be bigger typically. And if I wanted to gain weight, when I want to gain muscle, I might add in a third meal in the middle of those, or I just increase the portion sizes at those meals. But going back to something I skipped over with gut health, your ability to listen to whether you're full or hungry will be greatly enhanced when you begin intermittent fasting and you stick with it for a while. Another benefit that I've noticed is efficiency and productivity, especially in the morning. So I worked out this morning at 6 a.m. I've had a couple glasses of water. I've been working all morning after I dropped Braxton off at school. I don't have to stop to break. My brain is very alert. There's other stuff for those of you who have been following me for a while know that I do with the mallet drill and whatnot. So I do that in between. But I have a nice energy. I have a nice focus. Productivity goes up. And you can even play games with yourself because your work is going to expand to fill the time that you allow for it. So if you have work to do, that's why the 8-hour workday is a pretty stupid thing in my opinion, but that's a different topic because nobody can work for 8 hours straight highly productively. But if you say, okay, I'll break my fast. Let's say it's around noon. We want to be like a 16-hour fast, typically for men, women 14 hours. But I'll break my fast once I get such and such done. So that'll make you get the stuff done, especially if you're looking forward to that first meal. And lastly, I already talked about the insulin sensitivity. So you have three main hormones that drive all the other hormones. You have insulin, cortisol, and estrogen. All right, everything else is a trickle-down effect from those three. The one that we have the most control over is insulin. You don't have complete control over it. That's silly to think that. Anybody that tells you that's a wacko. But you have the most control over it. You've never eaten food by accident. I'm willing to bet on that. A donut didn't just jump into your mouth this past weekend. You might have made a choice to eat it, and it's great. I love donuts too. But my point is you never ate something by accident. So that's what I got for episode 113. Please share it with somebody that might be interested in fasting or leave a comment below. We'll be back next week with episode 114. Also, if you have not had the chance yet, please leave a review on iTunes for the podcast. It helps me out a lot. It helps out Newell Strength. And thanks for tuning in. Peace, everybody.